welcome back to the channel. As you can probably tell by the title, we have some new custom steel wheels for the tonner in an attempt to try and gain some traction. So obviously this video might attract a few new viewers over the YouTube, so I thought I'd just give you a quick recap of what we've got here. It's a VY1 tonner, used to be V6. I've converted it to Ls1 6-speed manual, and I've built a turbocharger kit for it, upgraded the fuel system, etc, etc. This is actually episode 16 we're up to now, so if you wanted to catch up, just go to my playlist on my homepage there and yeah, check them out and you'll be able to catch up. Also on the channel you'll notice the VZ turbo build on there as well, another turbocharged Commodore, so it's even more content there if you really want to have a look. Alright, now back to the tonner. Custom wheels. Today I'm just gonna take you through how I went about measuring for my custom wheels, and you know, how to draw a little diagram and how to do the math and everything like that, and how to work out the optimum size wheel and tyre, or for me, for the ute, or maybe for you, for your sedan or whatever. But generally everything will be generally the same. You can use what I'm about to do to help yourself order your own custom wheels. Now the reason why I've gone custom steel wheels is value would be the number one reason. They're extremely cheap, and the offset that I require, a lot of the off-the-shelf wheels just are not available because I need to put the tyre under the car further. It's not really something that a lot of wheel manufacturers do. You know, they often give you more dish rather than put the tyre under the car, if you know what I mean. So the other thing was, another positive about custom steel wheels is it's completely custom. You can get the offset, backspacing, whatever, anywhere in the width of the wheel to a certain point. You can't have it all the way on the outside, but extremely adjustable. So we'll get right into that. But first thing we need to do is just get it jacked up, and I'll get under there and we'll have a look at what we've got on there and what we're working with. Okay, the first thing you want to do is jack up your car, but you need to jack up your car with the suspension preloaded. Now on the tonner it's easy because I've got a beam axle, so it's just a matter of putting a jack under the diff. But you know, if you've got an IRS car like the sedan, you're going to have to lift it up and try and put some jacks or some props under each side so you can still get the wheels off but have the suspension preloaded. So I'm all propped up, or I'm jacked up, suspension's still loaded so I can get the wheel off, but the suspension's in the travelling position as you're driving. Now you can see I've only got 6-inch pursuit wheels, standard wheels on here with a 225, and you can see I'm fully limited here, so I can't just go and put a wider tyre on because I'll rub here. Now the custom offset wheel will bring the tyre a lot bigger all inside, and if you have a look inside, I've actually got room for forever. There's so much room over to that chassis rail, and you can see up there that's the inside of my tub inside the tray. And I'll show you, I've actually got these little, if it'll focus, little wheel tubs in there, and when I actually put these in, I made sure this was in line over with the chassis rail so I could get the maximum tyre I could. The whole reason why that's in there is just so I can hang the tray over the tyres and it looks a bit lower. That's besides the point, but yeah, so you can see I need to go wider. So the next step will be I'll take this wheel off and we'll have a look around in there and start measuring. Okay, the wheel's off. Now the next thing we have to take into consideration before we get started actually measuring is what diameter the tyres that you want to run. Now most standard Commodore wheels are about 26 inches, 650 mils, and then if you start running some race tyres like these ones are the 255/60 ET Street R's, I think they're about 27 inches. So you know, allow for what size height tyre you want to actually run. So you want to know the diameter. So this one here is 660, and then you halve that and find the radius, and you find yourself a straight edge, and you measure out your radius and just put a tape mark on your straight edge, so that way you know the radius of your tyre on your straight edge, so that when you hold it in against your wheel here, you know roughly as you move it around and do your measurements where the tyre is going to arc. Now I'll set this camera up on a tripod so I can show you in more detail. That's actually a pretty difficult little angle to get set up on. Now what we want to do is with our straight edge, now you don't have to use a square like me, anything straight with the radius of your tyre marked out on there. The radius is just hold your tape line roughly in the centre of your brake rotor and slowly rotate your straight edge around, taking measurements to the most furthest inside point, and take a measurement from the most inside point of your tub to the straight inside face of this straight edge, so giving you a measurement from brake rotor face to inside tub. Now you want to move it all the way around, like especially in a car, the tub's rounded and curved, and you know you have to play around with it and take several measurements all through the swing to actually find out where the closest point is. Now once you find the smallest number or the closest point, you record that number. Now also you don't just measure the very end, you want to measure all the way through the radius of the wheel so you can find the closest point, because in theory that is the point in which the wheel is going to rub first, obviously the closest point. Now that's for the inside, and it's exactly the same for the outside. Only difference is you measure from the same side of the straight edge but to the outside of your tub or the outside lip of your guard, and find out what the shortest measurement is for that as well. So swing it all the way around, all the way through the range, find out what the closest point is to the outside and the closest point to the inside, and record your two measurements. Now I'll go through and do that and get my couple of measurements, and then we'll get up on the whiteboard and have a look at some of the measurements. Okay, you've got your measurements now. Now I've got 70mm from the brake rotor face to the outside and 230mm to the inside, so I have 300mm to play with. Now that first measurement, you can start to think about what size tyre that you're actually going to fit. Now obviously a 275 is roughly 275mm, plus or minus a little bit. You know, with 300mm I have there, I probably would not try and put a 295 in there, there's not enough room, but I'd go in confident fitting a 275 in there. So always, this is a good time to decide what size tyre will actually fit into the most narrowest part of your tub or your wheel arch. So I know that I'm roughly going to be able to go a 275 tyre. Now we also need to take into consideration the width of the wheel that we could possibly use. Now there's one thing that I've learnt is, this is actually the custom steel wheel already made. I went for a 15x9. Now 9 inches should be 225mm, but that is not the total width of the wheel. Just to show you, definitely a 15x9. When they talk about the width of the wheel, they actually measure from where it beads. So you'll see there the 225mm is the 9 inches. Actual wheel width is 10 inches. It adds another inch. So you're looking at 250mm for the rim. So if you want to work it out, always know that the actual wheel width is an inch bigger than what you order. So you know, just keep that in mind when working out your mathematics here. So I'll be working with 250mm as my wheel width, because I work off total width, but it is only a 9-inch rim. So I'll do a bit more maths and we'll step back. Okay, now we know my total available width is going to be 300mm, so it's a matter of choosing a wheel width now too. I know I can go a 275 tyre, so now let's talk about the wheel width. Like I said, it's an extra inch for actual overall wheel width, and this is just a guide. So a 10-inch would be 275, which I think would be too close for the 300. By the time you allow for some tyre swelling or tyre mushrooming, I think a 275 10-inch rim is going to be too wide. So I've gone back for the 250mm 9-inch rim. So that's how I just chose that now. That's just something you have to decide for yourself, how much you want to push your luck making that little bit wider, or stuff like that. But to be honest, you're better off being safe than sorry, because nothing worse than tyres rubbing full time when you've just ordered new wheels. Now, a little bit more maths. Now, I know my wheel width is 250 mils. My total width is 300, so that leaves me with a total of 50 mils clearance from the wheels to the tubs, and that obviously means 25 millimeters each side. So now with this information, we know we've got 25 mil each side. Then we can do the actual maths back onto the clearance to find out the perfect offset to get that wheel dead center in the wheel well, in the tub. Okay, now I've transferred our 25 mil clearance each side of the total wheel width off of what we actually have either side of the brake rotor face. So from the start, maximum we had 70 mil outside, 230 mil inside. Take away the 9-inch wheel of 250, leaves 50, so that's 25 mil each side. So you take 25 mil off each side of this, that leaves you with 45 mil on the outside and 205 mil on the inside, and those two together give you the total width of your wheel, and that will put your wheel perfectly on the center of your available space in your wheel tub. Now, for me to order my wheels, I just drew a diagram exactly the same as this, took a picture of it, and sent it to Custom Steel Wheels via Facebook Messenger actually. And this is actually just a little picture of a wheel. Now, if you look at a wheel, I know it doesn't look the same, but you sort of got this weird little profile here and this profile here, but through the center there is the brake rotor flange, or the back of the wheel flange. Now you can see there that face there represents the brake rotor face. So obviously that's the top of the wheel, bottom of the wheel, brake rotor face, just so you can get your head around it. Now the guy at Custom Steel Wheels, he was all over it. He knew exactly what this looked like, and he was quite appreciative of how easy this was for him just to make it exactly right. Now, transferring our measurements over, we know that our wheel, our 250 mil wide wheel, I'm going to need that brake rotor face 45 millimeters in from the outside, and it'll be 205 mil from the inside, and that will set up the perfect offset for the custom steel wheel. I sent that to him. A couple of weeks later, he sends back a wheel, a pursuit wheel exactly like what's on the tonner. He does bloody Ford wheels, old HQ style wheels, sorry about that traffic. HQ wheels, Commodore wheels, 17s, heaps. Check him out on Facebook. I'll put a little screenshot of his Facebook page so you can have a look. But yeah, he definitely knows what he's doing. He's stacked a few welds in his time, and yeah, you can see that all my offset is now on the inside. Now you can't just, off the shelf wheels just don't come like this with all the wheel on the inside. So really it was the only option for me to get a decent wheel in underneath the 1 tonner here. So I hope that wasn't too confusing, but you know, any questions obviously throw them in the comments and I'll help you out. But yeah, I might just slide this wheel on real quick just on the hub and we'll have a bit of a look at it and take it from there. Okay guys, it's starting to get dark here, but I slid that wheel on, got that light set up, and you can see that I've utilised all the inside space now with that big wheel. There's still plenty of clearance there. The actual outside of the wheel, the offset out here, visually is the same as a standard one. If you measure a standard 6J pursuit wheel, this offset is actually exactly the same. So from the outside the wheels will look exactly the same. It's just all the extra on the inside, which suits me fine, just adds to that sleeper look that little bit more, which is exactly what I'm going for. So yeah, plenty of room between the leaf spring and the chassis. The only point I'm fouling on is my handbrake cable, so I'm going to have to bend that over just to bring that handbrake cable away from the wheel a little bit more. It only just hits here, but that's nothing, just to maybe even just heat that up and just push it over. Throw a couple of zip ties around it so it doesn't pop out of that little bracket. But yeah, just pretty happy. Definitely going to help it hook up. So the next step obviously is to give them a paint, because I'm not going to throw them on there like that. Now from Custom Steel Wheels you can get them sandblasted or sandblasted and powder coated, extra cost, but with this old dunger I don't mind them looking a bit rough, so I'm just going to scuff them up with a bit of sandpaper, make sure there's no scaly rust on there, And I'm just going to hit them with a bit of epoxy enamel that I picked up from Bunnings. This is just aluminium colour, that'll suit me. I'll take the fronts off as well and give them a freshen up so they all match really well. And in the back of the wheel, it's just going to go black, epoxy enamel. The beauty about epoxy enamel is you can just spray paint it straight on and it sticks so well. I reckon it's the best, hardest paint you can buy in a can. It's just worth it. They're a little bit more expensive than your normal enamel or acrylic, but so worth it. So yeah, I'm going to take these off and start scuffing them up, ready for some paint. Okay, I've given them a bit of a scuff with some sandpaper and rubbed them out with wax and grease remover, ready for some paint. And I thought before I cover up all these welds, I thought I might give you another look. Like, old mate's definitely onto it. Very nice welds. A lot bigger. If you ever see the back of a standard wheel, they're not welded this much. So it's definitely got more welds than average. Now what I can gather is he gets these outers from somewhere brand new, because this is no paint, it's brand new. And then I think he cuts on the lathe the centre out of a pursuit wheel that fits in there nicely, then just adjusts it, puts it wherever you need it. Obviously puts it on a jig or a dial gauge, gets it all centred up and then welds it up. Just actually really good workmanship. So before I go covering it in black paint, I thought I'd just give you a look. Definitely some nice beads, they're not going anywhere. So yeah, I'm going to throw some black paint in here, nothing special about that. It's night time now, so a bit of black paint, let it dry, then I'll come back tomorrow afternoon and we'll start working on the face, bit of silver. Okay guys, next afternoon, I threw that paint in there, sprayed the black epoxy enamel in there, mainly just to stop it from rusting. You know, just give it a bit of a scuff up so they're looking good. Just about ready to flip them over and start working on the silver. Now, I just want to quickly go over and show you something with the tonner. Okay, one thing I thought I'd mention, and I've been thinking about today, is with the tonner and putting the bigger, wider tyres on, they're also going to be taller. Now, the standard, 225/60 wheel and tyre is about 26 inches diameter. Now you go up to a 255/60, it's about a little bit over 27 inches. And then I really would like to run a 275/60 because I think I've got the room. So it's nearly 28 inches, so that's 2 inches more diameter, so that's an inch either side. So it'll actually lift the back of my car up 1 inch, back of the tonner up by 1 inch. In tyre size, now I don't know, already I think it's borderline the back being too high compared to the front. I like them to try and sit as level as possible. Now, an inch in the tyre, is it going to start pushing the nose down a little bit too much? I'm not so sure. I'm actually thinking about trying a different spring. I've got lowered springs in the front, King spring, I think they're just the first lowered ones, so they were the ones under FE2. And I've also got a spare pair of FE2, like Holden lowered style suspension over there, so I was thinking about changing the springs over. But then I noticed, and I started having a look, at my strut tops. Now that is some pretty impressive gap. So I've got a bad feeling that my strut top bushes are actually collapsed. To have that much gap between there, something's going on under there. This side's actually, the other side's actually worse. So that's a pretty solid gap. If the strut top bushes are worn, then your car will actually be sitting that much lower than it needs to be. So I'm hoping maybe I might just be able to change the strut top bushes and bearings, and I'll get maybe 20 mil or something back out of the front, so I don't have to change springs. But yeah, I was just a little bit worried about the extra tyre height making it push down in the nose. So I've got the new strut tops ready. I've got to take the front tyres off to give them a paint at the same time as I do the back one, so they match, same colour silver. So I'll get the tonner over there and start getting into it. Alright guys, bit of an update. I've sanded and waxed and greased the new wheels for the back. I did have to get the flapper wheel on the grinder, and there was a few half decent nicks in the top here, so I had to use something substantial to get rid of some of the nicks. There's still some evidence of what's left over that I don't want to grind out because it's probably taking too much material out. But yeah, that'll be alright. Just for the old work ute. Got it all jacked up, ready to take those front wheels off because I'm going to paint them, and we're going to get the back centre caps off as well so I can repaint them as well. So I'm not going to bore you with me spray painting that. I'll give these a coat and grab these wheels off and stuff, and I'll give you an update after I get a bit more done. Okay guys, fair bit of progress. Ended up getting the wheels and centre caps and stuff off the tonner. It's obviously dark now. I haven't had a chance tonight to look at them struts, that'll be tomorrow's job. But I did tape up the wheels, so obviously I don't get any paint on the tyres. Black duct tape actually sticks to the rubber the best. It's pretty much the only tape that I could find that would actually stick. All the painters' tapes wouldn't stick. Yeah, spent a fair bit of time taping them up well. Then sanded them with a bit of 240 dry, wax and grease remover, rubbed them all down. Also scuffed up the caps, painted them as well. But yeah, they've come up alright. They've only just had the second coat on all of them, so and you can see the difference in thickness. The new wheels are quite a bit wider. So yeah, happy with them. Not bad for a backyard job. That epoxy enamel paint, if you're just doing a backyard job, it just, out of all the paints I've used, it just always seems to work the best. It's the most resistant to chemical reaction too. Like, you very rarely ever get a fry up when using that epoxy enamel. It just covers. It's awesome. Alright, that'll do me for tonight. It's about 14 degrees, freezing outside. I'm going to head in, we'll get back into it tomorrow. Alright, got a fair bit done. I do have the struts out of the tonner. This isn't really a suspension video, so I'm not going to go into detail how we do that. In the future I'm changing the full suspension in the SS, so I'll do a more detailed video on the whole suspension. This is more about the wheels, so no real details about pulling the struts out. I have got the 255 ET Street R's mounted. They look pretty good. A lot bigger than the other ones, a lot bigger than the front, that's for sure. One thing I did notice is when I got the wheels there was no valve stem holes, so I had to drill them, 11.5mm. Got them all mounted up. I did also change the springs to the FE2. I ended up keeping the FE2 strut as well. I picked these up off a mate out of his low-K VZSS. So FE2 springs, standard struts. I just cleaned them up, painted them up. Put new bearing tops in there, new bushes, and these are the old ones out of the tonner, the Munro GT Sport and King Springs. And they were pretty stiff, and obviously the top bearing, or top bush I should say, is just copped a hide and just flogged all out. If your Commodore knocks in the front, 9 times out of 10 this is what will be stuffed. So I've got nice fresh ones on there ready to go. One thing I did learn also is VZ struts are definitely different to VY. You can see the sway bar link rods. It's got a weird like straight up and down bushing there, whereas on a VZ they're 90 degree. The bracket's actually different. So I didn't have them, so I quickly jacked the SS up and stole them out of there. I'll get some new ones off Facebook Marketplace or get some brand new ones, we'll see. But she's not going anywhere soon, so I just borrowed the sway bar links off that so I can get these installed in the tonner, and we'll get the front sorted and struts are in. No big deal. It's got VZ sway bar end links, and the strut tops have no gaps anymore, so that's awesome. Okay, I got the ute flipped around and jacked up, and I'll tell you what, the wheel fits on there good. Nice and fat, looks really good. Clearance around the outside is perfect. Exactly what I want. On the chassis rail and everything like that, it's good as well, but I'll climb under there and actually give you a closer look at what we're running into here. Okay, a bit of a close-up on clearance on the inside of the tray there. That's more than enough, that's great. Back on the inside of the chassis rail. Nice little bit of daylight there. I know originally I said I'd probably like to put a 275 on here, but after fitting this I really do not think that's going to be possible. Now there is a couple of problems with clearance. As I come around in the back here, in the back of the caliper, it probably just scrapes and that wheel's bolted on, but this bolt here in the top of the caliper is just hitting. So what I'll end up doing is taking the wheel back off, and I might just grind the top of that bolt flat, give it about 3 mils of clearance. And also this little top flange part of this hose here is just rubbing as well. So I might get the heat gun onto this banjo fitting here and heat that aluminium up and just tap that down ever so slightly, so I've got a bit of clearance there. So I'm after about, I'd be happy with 3mm clearance, take it for a drive, come back, make sure it's not rubbing. The only other point that comes really close is, oh, that light is horrible. Let me see. Is here, the bottom of the bottom leaf spring support bracket for the bottom of the U-bolts. This front corner here is probably, oh, it's only about 3 or 4mm, not even. That's really close to the tyre there. Oh yeah, there you go. That's super close. But that's on it. It's bent down at the front there. I don't really know why they're bent down at the front, but what I'll do is I'll get my grinder out and cut the corner off that and give it plenty of clearance too. So it's pretty small modifications to make it fit. I'm actually really happy. So it's a big tyre. Hopefully we can get this thing to hook and make it go a bit quicker. So I'll whip that wheel off and do a bit of grinding and carrying on, and I'll give you an update. So yeah, now you can see where I've ground that. Well, I ended up just cutting 3mm off the top of that bolt. Still left just enough there so the socket undoes it. Heated the line up here where it's aluminium, and then jammed the jack handle actually in underneath here and leant it against there and just bent that down out of the way. If you can see, oh yep, also where this handbrake line, I didn't show you before, but this used to be bent back at 90 degrees. I just put my shifter on there and tweaked it and bent it over, and I also put a zip tie around it just to hold it so that cable doesn't come out, and that should, the wheel used to rub on the cable just over here, so now I've pushed it way out over the way. And last but not least, this light is just terrible. The bottom of that bracket there, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, I've cut that off to clear as well. So yeah, there's the bit I cut off the bottom of the bracket, and that's how much I cut off the bolt. So we'll put that wheel back on and see how it fits. Right, back under the car, checking for clearance, and yeah, it's all good. 3mm minimum, easy. Stoked. And the bracket down the bottom here, heaps of room. And of course the handbrake cable, let's have a look at that, tweaked out out of the way. It was hitting in here, heaps of room now. I can actually fit my fingers in behind it, heaps of room. So yeah, I'm more than happy with all that clearance, so I can bolt this on for the final time and do it to the other side, and we'll have a look at it with it all bolted up. Okay, the tyres are all fitted up. I thought they looked that good. I actually give the old tonner a bit of a wash. I have taken it for a bit of a drive to fling all the water off it after washing it, and I can tell you it still actually spins the wheels a little bit. It's better than it was, but yeah, I thought it looks so good. I'm pretty stoked with how it looks. Big tyres on there just come up a treat. So yeah, the front doesn't seem too low. If anything, after measuring it with the other springs and now the FV2, it's probably about 10mm higher. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. But probably not as big an improvement with grip as I thought, but I'll take this for a spin soon. We'll be able to have a real good look. You see them, it looks solid, they fit well, nothing rubs. Another thing I am going to do is I'm going to throw a spare tyre on it for the first time, trying to put a bit more weight over the back. See if we can get that to help. But yeah, I'll wait for me buddy Chris to get here and we'll take this for a drive and show you how much more grip we actually have. Alright guys, take this thing for a spin and see how it hooks up. I've just got it on about 6 pound at the moment. I'm going to try and do a pull in second, see how these tyres hold, because that's pretty much the second at 50 or 60 k's is the run for a roll race, so we'll see how it goes. Not bad. That was only, I think I've seen 6.5 pounds of boost, and that actually nearly dead hooked, so that's a good sign. We might turn the boost up and we'll feel another hit when we get another clear bit of road. Alright, we've got a nice straight bit of road here, high speed limit, so I can give it a bit of a test. We want to go from second at 60, just like roll racing. Alright, that's 60, 3,500 revs. I'll give it a hit. Spun a bit. hazed him off in second, dead hook third, but yeah, wheel spin in second, hit the limiter. It's a little bit disappointing, but still got going good. Okay guys, just got back from that drive. Hope you enjoyed that footage. I know it's pretty hard to sort of get a feel for how hard it pulls or spins just from watching a video on YouTube, but I can assure you this thing moves out pretty good. And it's definitely got improved traction over the old tyres, there's no doubt about that. Probably not as good as I really thought they would be, but you know, definitely an improvement, so we're moving forward, that's for sure. I'll give you a quick look at that spare tyre hanging out the back there. It looks a bit funny, but definitely adds a bit of weight on the back there and helps it hook up. Okay guys, that'll probably do this episode. Hope you've enjoyed the content, possibly learnt something about ordering your custom wheels, trying to get your wheels to fit the best they possibly can to maximise tyre space. So if you enjoyed the content, hit the thumbs up for us. If you want to check out the build, don't forget to go back to my homepage playlist and check them all out. Probably pretty interesting stuff. As far as the future goes, I'm actually thinking about painting the intercooler black. You know, I'm all about making this thing look like a sleeper. I don't really want people to know that she's very quick, so you can sort of see the intercooler and a bit of a pipe hanging out there. I'm actually thinking about, you know, painting all that black. Let me know what you think. There's a possibility I could make a video with it bare like that, bare aluminium. I can log intake air temperatures through the HP tuners and then paint it black, and then log again with the black paint on there and have a bit of a comparison, see the difference in temperature drop between painted and unpainted. That's definitely on the cards for the future. Another thing is, the whole reason why I've been trying to get this car ready and trying to get some grip out of it is I want to do some roll racing in it. So on the street we're still spinning a little bit there, even on low boost it hazes the tyres a bit, so I'm hoping maybe on Queensland Raceway, where there's a bit of rubber left down by V8 supercars and that sort of stuff, that hopefully we can hook up a bit better and be a little bit more competitive. So definitely in the future we're going to be going roll racing. I'll get some good footage of that. Probably put a new wastegate spring in it. If you've been around the channel for a while, you'll see that we're probably peaked out at about 10 or 11 pounds of boost. Put a bigger spring in it and put some more boost to it. It'll take it, they'll love it. And even more timing, it's got stuff all timing in it, so it's actually pretty crazy how fast it is. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, I actually really love the old ute. So I think that'll do. As for the SS, if you want to know about the SS, don't forget to check out them videos too, but we'll get that thing started soon too, so check out for that episode. And yeah, I think I've covered everything. Subscribe, thumbs up, bell for notifications, that's another thing I've got to remind you. Yeah, all good. Alright guys, have a good one, and I'll see you on the next episode.